Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the SOG News for Nerds Wrestling Podcast. It's been a while since we've done one
Woo!
of these. Brian, good buddy, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. Well, I mean, I guess not awesome. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm happy to be here because it's been a minute since we've been doing the pod.
Yeah, kind of what we came to the dance with. What's up, Chris? Yeah, it's been a little while since we've done one of these. I mean, you know, I was sick a couple weeks ago. You weren't feeling the greatest on either. Um, and then with the holidays and everything else, and we've been doing the D&D campaign. That's been a
That's been a lot
huge
of fun.
blast. It's been a pretty big success on the channel, honestly. Like, we're super appreciative. I know I am, of all the support and all the feedback and all the likes and views, guys. Like, every little bit goes to helping forward what the podcast is all about. um
Yeah, I also want to send a big thank you to everybody who's been coming and watching and supporting us as we've been going through our adventure. Also, want to make sure to say thank you to our DM Nate,
yeah,
uh,
Nate,
putting out.
definitely.
There's a lot of work that goes into being a DM. Like there's a lot of work that goes into doing a podcast. So thank you for all the work that you do, Evan. Uh, I do no work around here. I'm
That is
really
a bold-faced lie, and you fucking know it. I'm gonna give you a first one of these in a while if you keep it up. And you know what I'm talking about. I've got it
I do know
primed
what
and
you're
loaded.
talking about. I do know what you're talking about. I know you've been
Now,
waiting to.
for all you out there that have been following the D&D campaign and following a lot of what we do here, Brian has a very deep, rich background in graphic design, editing, video editing. Obviously, if you followed the channel for a while, HKW, you're well aware of his skill sets. All the cool intros that have been made, the cool imagery you're seeing, uh, that's Brian. I might be doing a lot of the research here on the wrestling side and a lot of the moving bits and parts around, but when it comes to the creative vision and direction, that's Brian.
Oh,
So thank you, Brian.
I appreciate it. As far as cool creative stuff, I we talked about possibly showing it tonight, but we're not going to.
I,
We're going to hold off for next week. But we make sure you tune in for the
yeah, there's
uh,
a
Dungeons and Dragons game next week. There's
yeah
going to be something special.
the it's a very special episode. We're ramping up into a new adventure, new part of the campaign. We've got a special surprise for the dedicated followers of the campaign so far. You'll notice it as soon as the show starts. We're super excited, and we would be remiss without thanking our sponsor, DuelingGuard.com. Fantastic gaming products. They've got deck boxes, binders, sleeves, mats. I use the products almost every day of my life. Make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG for 15% off all your gaming merch needs. Every dollar you spend there helps the pod, and we're super thankful for it.
Awesome products coming out all the time, and you never know honestly what new media they're going to be coming out with, putting onto a deck box, putting onto a map, putting onto a binder. It's cool. It's
Yeah.
really awesome to see, and they respond. That's one of the things I love about Dueling Guard is they respond to their fans and
hmm and
clients.
if you're out there, dueling guard, if you want to do some Yu Yu Hakusho related, deck boxes and mats and sleeves and stuff, wink, wink, I would appreciate it. That's maybe at a future time. Maybe we'll do our favorite anime episodes of the pod. We've expanded beyond wrestling, but we figured we'd be remiss without what brought us to the dance of doing podcasting.
That's
Um,
true. Uh,
without further ado, I guess let's jump into Saturday night.
Saturday night's main event and the end of the John Cena era.
Yeah.
I guess let's
Well,
go through the other matches first. like let's just get those out of the way. We
I,
all know what we're here to talk about.
Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi. I'm just gonna say this: Obafemi is a future WrestleMania main eventer. He is the complete package. Um, him versus Braun Breaker down the line at a WrestleMania main event is gonna fucking feed generations. Like that was a great match. Cody was quick. He had speed. He was able to work. But Oba was smarter in some instances where he knew what Cody was going to do before Cody did. So he like when Cody does the pop down uppercut, Oba caught him by the throat. The match was great. Unfortunately, it ended in DQ with Drew McIntyre interfering. It was a little odd to have
What do
Drew.
you mean? Unfortunately, I thought that was the. I gotta
I,
say,
I
I
mean,
think this is 100% the right answer. You
I
don't
mean, I
want to
didn't say
job. You don't want to job Obafemi, before he can get up to the main roster and you can actually pay this off in a full PLE. You don't want to. You're definitely not going to want to job your champ to the you know
the development guy.
triple A champ.
Yeah. No, I mean I get it, and I guess that's perhaps a lack of a better term. I wanted the match to keep going because it was just a really good match. I did think it was a little weird with that Drew attacked Cody because that meant Cody got the win. Small little nuance. I think he could have attacked Obafemi. Not
you attack.
necessarily like
What you do is you attack Obafemi first. You knock him out of the ring. That causes the DQ, so Cody loses the match, and then you
see,
go
and
and you
that
attack Cody.
small little nuances. That's how I would have booked it. Either I did think it was pretty sick how Obafemi got up and basically chokeslammed Drew, and Drew's not a small guy. The fact that he was still able to get him up for a clean chokeslam like that, it's Obafemi's a future total package. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Really,
Um,
you think he's a future Lex Luger? I would have
yeah,
put.
yeah.
I would. I have higher hopes
I have higher
for.
hopes too. No, he's when I say the total package, I mean it's a complete like we've got the charisma, we've got the look, we've got the presentation, we've got the moves, the mentality. Like it's all there. It's just a matter of getting the right story behind him. I say within the next 5 years, I think he main events a WrestleMania or two.
Um. See, the only issue I really have in that, and it's this is kind of weird, but we we keep hearing Braun Breaker, future WrestleMania main eventer, the Obafemi, future WrestleMania main eventer. I don't think that. I think that when we say future WrestleMania main eventer, it's taking away from honestly the championship in a big way. I think that should be he's a future world champion is
I guess that's
where I think we should really be putting the emphasis here, as opposed to the guy who's gonna carry the company and headline everything for years to come. I think that kind of
it does
pressure
set him up.
is, yeah, it sets you up for failure. And not to n- take anything away from Braun Breaker, because I think he's doing a Braun Breaker's doing a great job for how long he's been on the main roster, how long
Mhm.
he's been on television. But like, I'm hearing talk of him winning the Royal Rumble and main eventing WrestleMania in 2026, and I'm just going, do we need
That's
it that fast? Do we
to me
need to be?
that's
Do we need to be like he's already facing CM Punk for the World Championship here, and like just all of this seems over aggressively fast in a career that you want to have longevity. Like part we when you look at John Cena and you go, okay, what made John Cena, so special? Well, he he started off as a friggin' jobber. Like he looked like a jobber coming in. You can't like I know he had that cool moment with Kurt Angle
yeah,
and
but
and,
beyond
and
that, his
everything, but yeah,
first
he looked
2 years were a struggle.
yeah. Um then you know, finally he wins the United States Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Has a good U.S. title run. I really think that, I mean, personally, from a fan standpoint, him having that moment at WrestleMania where he FU'd the Big Show, and
Mm-hmm. It showed
for
his strength.
the first time. I mean, I
Yeah.
know he did it like many times after that, but the first time, I remember seeing him do that and going, "God damn!" Like I didn't like you can do that. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
impressive stuff. And then going on to win world championships, and then being that
There
guy
was a
who
build.
holds
There
the
was a build
company.
to it.
Right.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, no, perhaps the context there it is putting a lot of pressure on them to say future main eventer, WrestleMania main eventer. I guess the problem is the way we frame the WWE, you know, experiences. WrestleMania main events are considered bigger than the title, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it and slow down. No, you're right there. I do think that if you were to stack those two up side by side, I think Oba's got a little bit more going on than Braun Breaker. That's just me. Um, Obviously, time will tell once Oba gets to the main roster, but um,
I
I'm
think
excited to see what the future holds for both of them.
I
And
think
I do
Oba's
agree.
I think he's more what's the word I'm looking for? I think he's more physically imposing than Braun Breaker. And that's
Yeah.
that's not to take anything away from Braun Breaker. He's a beefy looking dude, but he's the thing about Braun that I think sometimes we can easily look past because his facial construction and the way he has his goatee cut and everything puts a makes you think a lot more of his uncle. Makes you think of Scott.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Well,
truth
because
is he's his dad's son, and Ricky was always a much shorter, stockier, you know, wide
yeah,
wrestler as opposed to like Scott, who was you know the jacked up.
yeah. I mean, because Rick Steiner's 5'11", Braun Breaker's 6 foot, and Scott was 6'1". So I definitely can see where your logic is there. It's more of a stout kind of you know
Hmm.
like a brick wall. Whereas Oba kind of like when you look at how he's built and how he's presented, he reminds me a lot of like the way they would present like Hogan in the 80s and like Warrior to a degree
Hmm.
and the body guys of that era, but like he's got the charisma and the ability to cut a promo. It's like taking the best of both worlds in that way. So I can agree with that I think he is a little bit more imposing. um
I just feel like I just feel like um the way that they're booking Braun Breaker is just it's too much too fast, and basically everybody needs an origin story. Like we're doing the whole D&D campaign right now, and
mhm.
I'm sure all of us who are playing can't wait to be like level 7 characters who are doing all sorts of crazy magic and stuff. But before you can do that, to really appreciate it, you have to have that origin. You have to have that start. And part of the cool thing with professional wrestling is we get to see that origin for all these different wrestlers. And with Braun Breaker, I feel like they're just trying to skip over the origin story.
That's kind of like they did with Roman Reigns, if you think about it.
No, Roman's origin story is the Shield.
I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. So his origin story was with the Shield, but like he was always positioned as like the guy. He wasn't. It wasn't a slow build. It was just like you know the
See, I
Shield.
would see I would disagree with that too. If you go back and you watch
I have to finish my
the
sentence.
early Shield stuff, Roman was, he was the muscle of the team. I'll definitely agree with that. Um, but he wasn't positioned as the leader of the team. Um, as a matter of fact, I would say he was last in line. Both, when it started off, Dean Ambrose was the mouthpiece, and was portrayed much more as the leader. Then after TLC and Seth Rollins' performance, they switched it over to Seth Rollins being portrayed as the leader leading into the breakup of the Shield. I would say that Roman was never the leader. He was never the guy. It was just a really, really solid Royal Rumble performance by Roman Reigns that made people get behind him initially, and then Vince McMahon's like, "Well, let's strap the rocket back to the moon." That's how
So
I always interpreted it.
I hear what you're saying. I think where it's a when I say that they are shoehorning him as the guy, it's exactly that reason. It's the origin story was there, but it wasn't deep. It was shallow. Whereas it's kind of the same thing with Braun Breaker. Ties to a rich wrestling family. At least Braun had a pretty impressive. We got to see some NXT build. He's NXT champ. North American champ. And then we got to see a little bit more of that because there's obviously more TV. FCW wasn't on TV. So we didn't get to see a whole lot of that. NXT early era Florida Championship Wrestling. Roman Reigns before pre-Shield, but like it's similar. It feels like the shoehorning's happening. Is my point. Um,
See,
it's perhaps to a faster degree, and I think Seth's injury is also playing a lot into that.
I'll agree with you there. I will I definitely agree with you there. Um, I just think that like as we're stepping into this new era
Oh God.
of hold on, it is
I know.
like
We hear that from
we're
Hunter all
stepping
the time.
we I know there's the whole hunter thing with eras, but we are coming into a new generation of main event talent, and you're seeing it with Jay Uso would be one of those guys that's like moving up into that level. I think as we watch, and I bring him up specifically because I think as we watch the progression of Jay Uso, I think that Braun Breaker actually is the person to put him with. I wish that program that they had with the Intercontinental title
Should have went
would
longer.
have lasted way longer. You could have gotten, you know, 2 months out of it at the start. Then whoever wins it holds the title for a couple months until the other one comes back. You could have gotten a SummerSlam or WrestleMania out of that
One of the big
really,
four.
yeah, really nicely, um, and done it in the mid card. And that way, when they do get up into that world title and then they're doing it for the world title, now it feels more like this progression. I remember watching uh, The Rock and Triple H fight for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam in that ladder match, and
Mhm.
thinking these two are going to be fighting for the world title one day. Like this is a future world title match, and I've watched other matches like that. Same thing with Cena and Edge, you know, fighting over the mid card title, and I'm just like, this is going to be a world title match one day.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I think, and at least in the last like 5 to 10 years, they've been too trigger happy with getting behind people and not taking the time. I personally think, and we've talked about this ad nauseum in the past. Obviously we haven't mentioned the show lately. With Jey Uso winning the Rumble last year, we both didn't like it, but we
No.
were both willing to let it play out, and it
Hmm.
played out exactly how we thought it would. And then now where's he at? Back in the tag division because they didn't bother to properly build the story behind him.
You know, you know. Um, we haven't talked about this at all, and we are live on air. But that's the fun part of being live on air. Is sometimes we get to pull this kind of crap on each other. So we're about a month and a half away from the Royal Rumble right now.
Hmm.
I think it's about time that you and I make a prediction
Hmm. For Royal Rumble winner?
for a Royal Rumble winner. I think that you and I can each pick two. One would be what we'd like to see, and then one would be what we would expect to see. Um, do you, so like I'm kind of springing this on you. I'm also springing it on myself. Would you like to go first? Do you want me to go first? How do you want to play this out?
Um, so I'm fine with you springing it on me. I, kind of have some in the back of my brain. Had you asked me this question 4, 5 months ago, I would have had an easy answer. But I think a lot of things have changed. 4 or 5 months ago would have been Sami Zayn, but he's just disappeared.
That's very true.
He's doing this on the fucking pre-show.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I saw him. I saw him sitting at ringside for main event. That was nice.
you know, there's a world where it could be Seth Rollins. If he somehow miraculously pulled a Cena and came back early from an injury. Um, if I was to make a prediction on who I logically think it's going to be, I believe it's going to be Roman Reigns.
Interesting.
I think they're going to run back Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, Cody versus Roman 3. That's just where the money is. It's where they can tell the best story. Um, you know,
Do you think Roman needs to win the Royal Rumble in order
I don't think he
to tell that
necessarily needs
story?
to. I just the only other option for me, if you're gonna do this, is Gunther. If you're making Gunther this big bad supervillain who's coming out here and you can't see me to AJ Styles, you know, I you make it Gunther. If you're gonna make him the supervillain, main event night one, Cody versus Gunther. Gunther should not be on Raw. You move him to SmackDown, give him a fresh pool of talent to work against. Gunther versus Cody. That would be that would be a good story. You know, two professional wrestlers.
I'm 100% with you. Gunther was the one who I was gonna, as far as who W did not what I would necessarily want to see.
Yeah.
Um, but who I think WWE was, would get behind and would
Mm-hmm.
be a really good choice. That was gonna be I'll come up with another one, but
Yeah, I
um,
mean, yeah, Roman or Gunther are the two most viable options. At least, the one I want to see Roman eventually. I feel like there needs to be a character progression there. I think he still hasn't hit quite rock bottom yet. So, maybe he wins the Rumble, but then like something happens along the way where, he's at Jeopardy or something like that. But Gunther makes more sense from a, how they're booking standpoint.
mhm. um, so I know this is gonna kind of sound crazy, especially given what we've seen just recently, but I could see a world where WWE put LA Knight over in the Royal Rumble.
I mean, yeah, I would like to see that. You know, kind of one of our topics later in the show is talking about some of the things Vince Russo has been talking about. He's had some sadly valid points lately on some things. Makes me kind of want to vomit a little bit even saying that. Um, yeah, no, I would love that. I think Karrion Cross got the shaft, LA Knight's gotten the shaft. Like obviously we know at the top there's only a limited number of spots. We
Hmm.
understand the business, but
Yeah.
like the crowd has been behind LA Knight for at this point over a year.
Oh, a couple of years. I have a actually. I'll even. er, We were going to mention this a little bit later. I'll mention. I'll bring it up now. This coming Friday, actually, you and I have tickets. We're going out to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're gonna see the Raw and SmackDown double taping, which is gonna be a good time. And I was actually planning on wearing my SummerSlam jersey from 2023, so it's got a 23 on it. And I remembered the chants for LA Knight at that show. And they just
He was
started a
so
little bit.
over.
he had got started getting mega over just a little bit before that, about a month
Yeah,
before
like it got to a fever pitch that fall, right before right around Survivor Series and like the
that.
Rumble,
Hmm.
and I'm like, they didn't even have him go that. Was he even in the Rumble? I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but like
Um,
that's my point. Is they've made the people get behind him, he gets a little momentum, and then they just like drop him to the side. And like, yeah, he
I
had a
think
great short U.S. title reign, but like,
I think
I
in
I
a
could get
time
behind that.
period, I think in a time period where you're trying to uh, reinvigorate a new generation of not just main eventers, but of audience. You know, you're when you when WWE made the decision to leave the USA Network for Raw and move that to Netflix. Um, th- while I'm not like discounting, though I'm not saying it's a bad decision.
It's
I
a new
am gonna
audience.
say, yeah, it's a new audience. Like that USA Network fan base had existed for over 20 years, over
Well,
30 years.
and now they have SmackDown over there on the USA Network, which that's great. The SmackDown is moving back to 3 hours starting in January. Kind of glad for our sake that it's not yet for this Friday.
Oh my God, I couldn't do a 6 hour show. I
I, I'm gonna be up since like 5 that morning, so I'm already gonna be, chugging a Monster Energy on the way home. But yeah, no, I mean, I could totally get behind LA Knight. And I do agree. I think we're coming up on an age where, and it wouldn't shock me. We'll get to it once we have the Gunther. We discuss the Gunther match, but like there is a big void of like you have a bunch of people retiring. You had Cena just retire. You had Goldberg retire. Brock's talking about retiring. SummerSlam's in Minneapolis this upcoming summer.
AJ Styles too is
AJ Styles. There's
talking
rumors
about
of
retiring.
Jericho returning to the Rumble for a retirement run. There's a world where I could see, Gunther becoming the new legend killer, where he just knocks off legend after legend, and it's not just where he punts him in the fucking head. Hell, Randy's
Sums
got
him
a
up.
few more years, but like,
Actually, I know. I think it'd be really cool. Actually, if you did the entire gimmick of Gunther being the Legend Killer, let him legitimately retire Cena, let him retire AJ, let him retire Brock,
Jer- Brock
let him
Jericho.
Jericho, let him do all these guys, and then and all the while make keep Randy on the other show. Keep Randy on the other show. Keep Randy far away from him as he
Hmm.
keeps saying it. But he keeps bringing up that legend killer name. And everybody's just like waiting and waiting. And then after you've let him, after you've let him, you know, run through all these legends and legitimately make that name for himself and everything. I mean, because he, in that position, it's kind of great for Gunther because he doesn't need a championship.
Hmm.
And that's
The
kind of the
the
thing.
legend ending is the championship.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
can you imagine if he's the one to retire Brock, the guy who beat Taker's streak? Like
I would
the
even
rub there is insane.
no, no. I would even I think it would be so cool. He's got that like that black long coat that he wears.
Oh, started putting their
Put their names on the coat one by
ooh,
one as he
I would
retires them. It would be
that would be
sick,
sick.
dude.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I mean absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm totally behind that. Um I guess let's continue on with Saturday night main event. Circle back to that topic. Sol Ruka defeated Bailey in a clean singles win. A lot of people are shocked. Um, I really wasn't. They seem super high on Sol Ruka. I'm glad they are. I'm excited to see new young talent. I just think her finisher is it's the most obvious fucking thing in the world. It's an RKO with extra steps.
Um,
Like it's,
well,
it's
it
quote
what's
Rick
so
Sanchez.
okay. The ridiculous thing is like, and you go back to like you know Diamond Dallas Page. Why did Diamond Dallas Page do the Diamond Cutter? Because he could hit it from anywhere.
Hmm.
You know, you know why did Mick Foley do the mandible claw? He could get it from anywhere. Those kind of moves they have that shock and impact, and they've emphasized that even more on the cutter with with Randy Orton, the out of nowhere, you know,
Hmm.
statement. So then when you do essentially the same move
But like,
like that, it does look a little silly, and it makes me feel like you have, you know how like The Rock had to run off the to do the people's elbow. The Rock he does this whole thing. And he jumps off those ropes and off these ropes, and then he gets back to the middle and a big flourish and drop the elbow. And I'm always thinking to myself, you got to do all of that just to drop an elbow, man. Like I,
well, I think the logic behind that's he's building up momentum and showboating because it's The Rock and that's his character, and it fit. But with Sol Ruka, it's her character's surfer chick, and like athletic surfer chick. And I really hope they're able to tell a deep, meaningful story with her eventually. I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, but to me, I just anytime she hits this move, I'm just like,
you- you're really hoping
I
for these Christmas presents now that I don't think are coming, buddy.
yeah, yeah, it's life. Sometimes you don't get what you want. Sometimes Triple H takes a giant shit in your Cheerios, and you just got to take it.
Evan, Evan, I know there's something you've been waiting to say. Do you want to say it to Triple H now?
Do fucking better. We'll get to that. That's the first one of the episode. um. Anyways, next one. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defeated Javon Evans and Leon Slater. This was a great tag match. Honestly, it was probably my favorite match of the night. It was just fast paced. It's a lot loaded talent. Javon Evans and Leon Slater are definitely, their future. I wouldn't say top guys, but they're definitely future like mid card and tag guys. Where like there's a ton of talent there. I definitely like looking at both of them. I do think that bulking up might not be the worst thing for them. Uh, Obviously, speed's the name of their game. Uh, but like anytime I see them get tossed, like there was a match, Obafemi versus Javon Evans. It might have even been the triple threat one a while back here with Trick Williams. But like Oba just launched Javon Evans like 12 feet onto the fucking announcer's table, and I'm like, how are you bumping like that? Like you're not bumping on your back, you're bumping on your chest. Like you gonna wind up with Kofi Kingston indents there, man.
Javon Evans is so talented. Oh my gosh.
He's so talented, like, and he's only 21. That's the insane thing. Like,
Who's the future WrestleMania main eventer?
uh, let's not go that far. um,
Um,
Extremely talented, and with the right story, he probably could be. But like, that's the difference between indie
no,
wrestling, AEW, and WWE
I thought this was
storytelling.
I thought this was a good tag team match, but you know, and this is just me. I really feel like the pairing of um, Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, it feels so random to me, so haphazardly thrown together during a promo segment with Dom, like,
Yeah, I
and then
really
they're just the tag team champions, and they're just winning uh,
every match.
every match, and I'm just
You,
sitting here going like, this is the kind of booking that makes the tag team division as a whole look bad. Like established tag teams,
matter.
I understand when you have that situation. If like I remember there was a period back in the 90s when Stone Cold and uh he won the tag titles. Like he won them with HBK at one point. He won
You
them
want
with
him
the
with Triple H and
Undertaker.
Taker here.
He won with Triple H at one point. Um, he had several different tag team runs with other main eventers as his tag team partner. And my justification for that, how I was always able to be okay with that, was I went, okay, Austin and Undertaker are two of the absolute best guys in the business. That's why they're fighting for the world championship between the two of them,
And
right?
then winning the tag belts. It makes
And
sense.
then and so like they have enough skill where they can still overcome the fact that they're not a not a real tag team. They can work past that into a point of still winning the match.
Hmm.
Whereas I think if you're a real tag team, if you've been working as a tag team for years and years and years, like that
I'd
should
be insulted.
have yeah, it should have some credibility behind it. Like
Well, I get that AJ Styles is like a former world champ, but former WWE
mhm
champ, but like that was what 5 years ago. He's retiring in the year that to me this just feels like a filler on his arc towards the end.
mhm
And if I was a actual legit tag team there, like you've got the Street Profits, you've got the New Day, you've got the Usos, you've got the War Raiders, you've got
uh
or DIY, you've got whoever the fuck they pair with Miz. Like
you got
it's
the
just
Wyatts, you got yeah,
yeah,
you
like
got the
well,
Vision.
don't even get me started on the Wyatt Six. They've made the entire both shows tag team divisions look
I
like fucking jokes.
I would even say that like um uh Finn Balor and JD McDonough, where I felt like they were kind of a thrown together tag team at the beginning. uh I felt like they earned, like I feel like they're a real tag team now because
Yeah.
they've been around for a while as a tag team. They've made it clear that those tag team championships are important to them, and it gives the whole division higher stakes when the teams want those titles. When winning tag team matches is important to tag teams.
Well, that's how it should be. Like if you
Yeah,
think about it, like
it's a wild concept.
yeah, I mean, who would have thought a tag team, an actual tag team, wanting to win the world championships, being proud of it? Like, and honestly, I think that's why AEW does so much better with their tag team division, is they actually treat it with the kind of care with booking and like building a story behind it.
Well,
You know,
I think you just said it. And I don't know if everybody caught it, so I'm going to reiterate it. If you're the Dudleys, or if you're DIY, or if you're the Usos, and you win the tag team championships, those are the world championships to you.
hmm
Like,
you're a
you're the
team.
best tag team in the world. Not everything has to be about a singles division. And I mean, okay, I can put this in, like I can say this in real context. Um, both Evan and I, we actually met playing competitive card games, Yu-Gi-Oh. We've both been to the national championships and competed in the national championships. However, the difference between us is I competed in a team division when I went. Evan competed in a singles division. Does that make my time there worth less because I was in a different division? I chose to play in a different division? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. And I think it's kind of the absurdity. And honestly, like looking at it, how they've handled the tag team division this last year, it reminds me of like the 2014 through 2019, pre-COVID, how Vince ran the tag team division in WWE, where it was like kind of just an afterthought, or like where it'd be the match where they put the commercial breaks, which is wild to me given the level of talent today. And I really, Hunter, if you're out there listening, highly doubt you are. Tag team wrestling deserves its own spotlight. Treat it with some respect.
I never
Who fucking
understood.
better?
I never understood why bookers wouldn't be elated when you have, like, when you're in the indie world, like there's so few tag teams like to actually
Because everybody wants to be the
travel
world
around.
champ and
Yeah,
the singles guy.
but in when you got something like WWE, you can establish these tag teams like you can. Excuse me. um, you're really setting up a situation where you're instead of having two people to tell a story with, you now have four personalities that you get to tell that story with. That's that many more levels and layers to to interesting storytelling that you can have, and um, it's disappointing to me that
Hmm.
that is dramatically underutilized in today's wrestling.
You're not wrong. It's deeply depressing. And well, I guess let's move on to the finale of Saturday Night's main event. Gunther defeated John Cena via submission, tapped him out in the main event. So there's been a lot. First, let's put this into context. John Cena's only ever tapped out. This is the fifth time in his entire career. First time since I believe Benoit or Jericho, one of the two. Um, I believe he tapped twice to Angle, once to Jericho, and once to Benoit.
I'm gonna go ahead and look this up. I know our
I
viewers are gonna get on us if we don't.
Yeah,
Um,
5 times. Twice to Angle, once to Jericho, once to Benoit, and then once to
okay,
Gunther. I was like, I knew I read this earlier today, and I was like, wow, that's that. I mean, Benoit, he died in what 2007, like and Cena and him faced each other in what 2004, 2005. Like that's a long time to go without tapping, basically. And like the whole Super Cena mantra, like we're gonna contextualize this though. Um, with there's been a lot of big feelings, a lot of people telling people how they should feel. Um, First and foremost, you guys probably saw my reactions on the page because I was just left scratching my fucking head. Um, I didn't see the actual tap out coming. I personally would have preferred, and if I was, you know, you know, armchair quarterbacking the booking in this, I would have rather
you're the
had
pass
Cena.
out.
I would have done the pass out. He
That's
could
what I
still
would have
pass
gone
out
with
with a
too.
smile on his face,
Hmm.
but like, and I saw, I believe it was Matt Hardy posted something either on Twitter or Instagram where he discussed, you know, Cena accepting to not being relieved of the burden of being the guy carrying the WWE for the past 20 years. And I think while Matt had some valid points in that whole diatribe, I think that's bullshit. You don't grab the brass ring and just suddenly get sick of it. The whole concept behind it is his body's breaking down and like he's just relieved.
I could have I could have got behind what Matt was saying if you gave me something there visually on the other side that he's go like if if Cena would have looked at his wife, if it would
Something.
have been if it would have been something where he looks at his wife and the camera shows that he's looking at his wife, and then you see that like look of that smile, and
I'm ready.
all right, I'm ready, and
Yeah.
then he taps out. I could have gotten behind it a little bit more.
But like the tap out was he's got and up and literally up until this point, the match was a 9 out of 10 for me. But when I
It
see
was
him
it was a
smile
it was a great
and then
match.
very meekly tap, like Gunther didn't even realize he tapped. He had to ask the referee. You could verbally hear him, go, "Did he tap?" And ref went. And there's conspiracy theories out there online where people are saying like, Cena actually, Cena was supposed to win, and Cena chose to do that. And I'm like, bullshit. On
Dude,
that
okay,
grandest stage,
we knew back
Cena's a
when the retirement tour was announced, we could have told you that when we get to the end, in the last match, Cena's losing.
which is,
Cena's an
and I'm
old school guy. You go out putting somebody over. That's
mhm,
the
and
tradition.
I'm completely fine with that. I think that's the way it should be done. It's the right way. Go out looking up at the lights. To me, having him so meekly tap out for the guy who, for the last 25 years, his whole thing is never give up, hustle, loyalty, respect. Like
I
since
mean,
he done that gimmick, he hadn't tapped out. So like
there is.
I personally think it was anti an anti John Cena moment, and especially the context of this retirement run. Like it just felt like a giant middle finger to his fans.
I mean, I think that it was a mistake for him to smile. This is what I really think. I don't necessarily think that the booking was wrong. I don't have a problem with him tapping out and making Gunther look strong.
It's the smile that kind of undid it
It
all.
the smile comes across as very awkward, but the real like there's this is where this is so difficult is because um there's reality and then there's kayfabe.
Hmm.
And the reality is you have a guy who's in that ring and he's laying there in a hold and he knows he doesn't have to take any more bumps and he knows that the bell hasn't rung yet and he knows that this is his last moment in that ring in that place he loves. This is it. And I saw, and this is what I really believe because, you know, I saw him do this several moments all through that last progression with Cody and with Punk on his way up the entranceway, all of it. Cena, and I respect the shit out of him for this. He took the time to really um, absorb the
Hmm.
moment he was in, to appreciate the moment he was in. He knew, like, this is it. I don't get to come down this entranceway again. I don't get to hear them cheer for me like this again. I mean, if he wants to come out, if he wants to show up at a show, WWE will let him. He can
Well,
still show
he
up
signed
and,
a, a 5-year ambassador agreement with him, so he's still going
yeah,
to be doing things. He's just not going to be in the jorts. That's
yeah.
why the whitey tighties meme is hilarious.
Um, I just think that, I think that's the reality of it is that in that last moment, I think I think what Matt Hardy has right is I think that the real John, you know, the real John was that was him like legitimately enjoying himself in the ring for the last time.
Yeah, which totally valid. I just think from a kayfabe standpoint, it undermines a lot of what they're doing.
Yes.
It's hard to balance that, and I understand that. I think honestly, like, and I guess we can kind of transition into the post match. Obviously, Gunther winning was the right call. This got tons of heat for Gunther, but like Cena stood up, he had his moment with Triple H, and the crowd is absolutely obliterating Triple H with boos. And like at the post show, they were chanting AEW at him.
So I I think part of this is the culture in the modern day of just being so angry all the time about everything. Um, you know, I what did you want him to do? What did you expect? Would you expect Triple H to do? Did you expect him to not get in the ring
No,
and ignore the golden boy who has been like around forever? Like
you can't.
I it would have been more awkward if he didn't get in the ring.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. Um, I think the thing I think that pissed me off the most wasn't people booing. Because Cena, he was a cheer for me, boo for me. It's all the
Hmm.
same to me, and I can respect the shit out of that. What pissed me off the most was the fact that I see these TikTok, Wrestle Talk creators out here telling people how to feel and like telling them you don't get to boo John Cena. They weren't booing John Cena. They were booing Triple H, and they paid good money for their tickets. whatever emotions they are feeling are fucking valid. And how fucking dare you tell them how to feel?
Well, it's
You
kind
can't
of ridiculous.
contextualize 25 years of someone's career and a fanship, because, and we could go into the whole parasocial thing, but these people legitimately were connected to John Cena for a long time. They're gonna have feelings and they're valid, but don't fucking tell people how to feel. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves is telling me how to feel or telling people how to feel. Let them feel their feelings.
Um, Wrestling, especially in the modern day, is so subjective.
Mm,
Um,
definitely.
like there are some clear cut heels and there are some clear cut baby faces, but a lot more often you have this gray area. Like, I love Kevin Owens. I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan. Um,
He's right in that gray area though.
he rides that gray area all day long. Like, even when he's a baby face, you're like, you sure you're a baby face? When he's a heel, you're like, are you sure you're a heel? Um,
Not not gonna lie, I don't know if you noticed it when Cena hugged him, but like Elias came up there. I really wanted them to like have a like secondary pan shot to Kevin Owens turning around and seeing Elias and wigging the hell out, because that whole thing with Elias and Ezekiel was that was hilarious.
I saw the side eye that Kurt Angle was giving him.
Dude, did you see his wife's tweet? Kurt, don't you even think about it. You're retired.
Uh,
Honestly, you kind of got to feel bad for Kurt in a way though, because like Goldberg got a retirement run, a proper retirement run.
hmm
Cena got a proper, you know, I
Kurt
would
got
argue
screwed.
Kurt got screwed. And and Baron Corbin, looking back at it, obviously it kind of helped Corbin in a way for a little bit. But like,
No, I feel like all it did was hurt Kurt Angle.
yeah,
Like
it almost felt like
like
it was like a fuck you to Kurt. Hey, fuck you for going to TNA.
we didn't like. I'm sorry, but Baron Corbin at no point was a talent that should have been in the conversation with Kurt Angle. And I'm not trying to take away, like I'm really not trying to knock Baron Corbin there. I'm just saying that, like, dude, you didn't have the you didn't have the pedigree, you didn't have the namesake to be
Right.
in that conversation.
And
Like
I,
everything that you had was so fabricated to try and get you over, as opposed to you won it because you were over, and that's the big difference.
yeah, I do feel legit bad for Kurt on that. And like, honestly, there was a little part of me during the Cena retirement run where like I almost wanted to see like a sub story where like Cena was like doubting himself and like after a loss or something. This was like pre the heel turn, but like having Kurt pull a Mickey from Rocky and have a John Cena training montage. I think that would have been gold.
I mean, I think there's a couple different ways that you can go with this. Okay, I think um I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit. I'm going to talk about Raw real briefly here because I think
Spoilers.
I know. But I think this is a huge missed opportunity. So on Raw, you had the show start off with Gunther like coming out and uh, you know copying Roman Reigns' "I beat the Undertaker" promo. This is my yard now. That's what all that promo felt like to me.
I
I
think
knew
there was a
John
little
Cena's
more,
up.
a little
There was
more.
a very, but it was very short, very sweet. I'm here to piss you off and walk away. That was the whole point of the promo. Um, I think it was a big mistake opening the show with that.
I would have ended the show on that.
I would have put it in the middle. I would have put it right dead
I guess
center.
you could put that in your heater as you lead up into the not the
That's
main event, but like the sub main event.
yeah. I would have put it right in the middle of the right in the center of the show to be my heater into the second hour. But maybe that's not how they think now with Netflix. Anyway,
uh, you're
um,
not
but
wrong.
think about this, like how much cooler, like even if you just would have opened up with this being the layout of the promo, don't start it out with Gunther. Started out with Dom. John Cena's gone, and I was the last man to beat him on pay per view. I embarrassed the hell out of John Cena. All you people that are, oh, you're sad that John Cena isn't here anymore. I, you know, I deserve the real credit for that. And as he's talking, I would have had that limo pull up, and Gunther gets out of it.
That would have been pretty funny. I
Like,
mean,
and then Gunther comes out and looks at him and just takes and Dom does the chicken shit heel, backs down to Gunther, hands him the mic. Yo, I don't want any trouble. And Gunther goes,
I,
you know, and all these people know that I made John Cena quit. Boom. It's all done, just the same thing, but you add this extra layer with Dom where you could get a really fun like TV Dom versus Gunther match.
I mean, I think you could do that. I mean, heel versus heel is
It's
kind of
heel
funky
versus
sometimes.
heel. It's heel versus heel, but with Dom, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, he's getting
Dom,
babyface reactions.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely could vibe with that. I mean, for me, like, I don't think it was just copy and paste of Roman's. This is my yard now. Because obviously Gunther walked back down. He got up on the table. You know, he was trash talking the fans. There was a little bit more to it. I think they learned their lesson with the whole "this is
It's
my yard"
fair.
thing.
It's fair to say that I'm being a little
Hyperbole.
reductive with it, but
But no, I could see that. Personally, I would have had if you're gonna start the show with Gunther doing that, have Cena's music start, but then immediately cut
oh,
right in half to
oh,
Gunther going to the entire crowd, walking down to the ring, sitting there, soaking it in.
you could have even done
You can
the
see me
bit.
now.
You could have even done the bit like HBK did with the Bret Hart music in Montreal years ago, where he's
Yeah,
in the ring
that's exact.
and
That's
then it hits.
exactly. That's exactly what I would have done.
See, I would have just like I would have let the music play, and then I just would have said, John, I don't see you.
Or if he really wanted to really get some heat, have Gunther come out and say, before I, tell all you terrible people how great I am for retiring John Cena, making him quit like a little bitch. John, why don't you come down here and shake my hand? That's what a real champion would do, and then play the music. And oh wait, you're in the nursing home.
Okay, we need to finish. We need to talk about our feelings on Cena's retirement before we get into Raw because now we're jumping straight into Raw
Yeah,
results and
guess that's fair.
I have a
So
tangent to go on.
I guess to summarize, I think the retirement run, if I was to give it a grade, would be a D minus. There were some bright spots. We got some nostalgia runs. Obviously, they pivoted a lot with a lot of the plans changing.
There was a hardcore pivot,
I think there
a
were
hardcore.
multiple pivots in my opinion. Like especially after The Rock left, like I think they had to completely change everything.
I think they
Um,
pivoted hard into that whole situation back in February,
mhm,
and then I think it was another hard pivot at SummerSlam.
definitely agree. When I think back to contextualizing John Cena's career, I mean, obviously, the number one thing he has the most Make a Wish things of all time. I don't think anybody will ever get near what he does with Make a Wish. He's probably, excuse me, still going to continue to do it. Um, you know, I would, disregarding Hogan's, past with the racial comments, I would argue there's been no better ambassador for the WWE than John Cena. Even Hogan at his peak, even Austin at his peak. John Cena was WWE. He was the WWE prototype all the way up to Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, Respect to the very end. He was the golden poster boy that he grabbed the brass ring and, was his career perfect? No. Did Super Cena, now that we're looking back on it, a lot of fans used to bitch about Super Cena and like him always winning, which wasn't actually always true. Although WWE did release some statistics, he did win 78.4% of his matches in his career, um, which is insane. Um, when I think of John Cena's career, I don't think you'll ever have a better ambassador for WWE. I don't think you'll ever have someone that could carry the company quite like he did for as long as he did. I think the WWE to Hollywood pipeline is only going to get deeper and open up more. And I think people owe that to not only The Rock, not only to Hulk Hogan, but to John Cena. And I look forward to seeing what he does in Hollywood.
You know, there's a lot of talk about the golden shovel and burying people, and specifically things like the Nexus that come up when talking about John Cena's overall career. And the thing that I think often gets overlooked is one credit that Cena really deserves is his ability to look back at some of those things and admit when he's been at fault and when he made a mistake, when he made the wrong call. Um, and this last run, he did that. But I also think that this last run was really about making sure that he gave back everything that he had been given.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was given a lot, and so he had a lot to give back. And I think that he really tried his best. Reports are that when he approached WWE about the retirement tour, he was prepared to do a full 230-day tour, including house shows.
Which,
That's insane. That's
yeah,
the
well,
old school schedule.
yeah, he was willing to. I saw some reports saying he was willing to work some NXT events,
Hmm.
work with the NXT champion. He's been going to a lot of wrestlers, wrestling schools, sitting down with their students, teaching them, giving them advice. For all the negative talk about how the Golden Shovel stuff, and we weren't there. I'm not going to talk to the validity of others' experiences during that time. No one has given back more than he has too. He's carrying on that old school mentality and he's passed it on to the new generation. And he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. It would not
He
shock me.
he should be in the Hall of Fame this year. They should just boom boom
Well,
boom.
he's scheduled apparently for the Raw after Mania this upcoming year. That's his first time back. I don't necessarily know if they're going to do this year, but I definitely could see either this year or next year him being like the first big name announced.
He would be
Honestly,
the headlining name whenever he does go in. He will be the headlining name
well,
of the.
Batista still owed his induction. I don't think he actually got inducted in person yet.
He did not officially get inducted, and
Yeah,
my understanding is it's mostly scheduling conflicts is the only reason he
which is
hasn't.
fair. I mean, Batista, Cena are both big Hollywood stars now, but like I
It
think it
would
would be
be
kind of fitting if
cool.
they got inducted together in the same
Hmm.
class.
Um,
Um,
yeah, I think that would be very, very cool.
you know,
Um,
class of
Jericho
OV.
Jericho's another guy who's going to be coming back, have his last run, and I would expect him, part of that to be Jericho's another Hall of Fame
Oh,
guy.
absolutely. First ever undisputed WWE WCW champion. Like
Uh,
he beat Austin and Rock in the same night. Like not to mention his WCW career. Like Jericho's
yeah,
definitely another first ballot.
well, that I think that's one of the crazy ones. There's a handful of. It's a very, very, very small group of wrestlers now that are still active that wrestled in WCW.
Uh, it might just be Jericho.
Rey Mysterio,
Oh yes, Rey Mysterio. I forgot about him.
AJ Styles, actually.
I forgot he was part of WCW. Honestly, it'd be really wild if AJ Styles retired before Jericho. I
That
will
would
say I want to preface this before we talk Jericho at some point. I really don't want to hear him come back and bash AEW. Like that's gonna drive me fucking nuts if he does it. Obviously, he's entitled to do what he wants.
I
I just
mean,
don't want.
I would say that it depends how he does it. It's all about how he does it.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't want it. I don't want it to be a bad mouthing thing.
I
Like,
think there is a way that Jericho could do it that would both uh like down on them while putting them over, and I think that's the art of the heel.
I guess that's
Um, you know, I mean, I go out, when I go out in shows, I am insulting. I get in the ring with the world champ, and I insult them to their face, but I'm always doing it under with the understanding that, like, deep down, I'm actually trying to make you more popular.
fair.
I actually want to bring you up, and I can bring you up better by tearing you down, and
Yeah,
that's the wonderful world of pro wrestling.
yeah. Well, yeah. Honestly, thinking about it, the class of OVW 2002, half of them are retired now. Batista and Cena are gone. We got Brock and Randy left. Like, you know, best of luck to you in retirement, John. Thank you for all the memories. John was at the top when I got back into wrestling. You know, I got to watch a little bit of his ascension and his run at the top. And thanks for the memories, man.
John, we see you.
All right. Well, before we jump into Monday Night Raw, make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG to get 15% off all your gaming merchandise. They've got some great, Yu-Gi-Oh, One Piece, Chainsaw Man, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z themed character deck boxes, binders, sleeves in some instances. Great products. I use them every day. All right, let's talk Monday Night Raw. So,
Okay, we've talked about some of it already. I want to jump to something. I want to jump to something that bugged me about Monday Night Raw. So I want to make sure I understand this right. Gunther comes out and he talks some shit about John Cena and how he won his match, which he did win his match. And because John Cena isn't there to defend himself, we're gonna send Gunther home. That's over the line.
yeah, that
Okay.
was that was weird.
But 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 the last 2 weeks, Braun Breaker's been in the ring talking all sorts of shit about CM Punk. Well, CM Punk is injured and isn't there to defend himself.
CM Punk was literally filming something for Netflix and his dog died. Everybody knew where he was.
Right, right. No, I'm saying I'm going with their kayfabe. I'm going with the kayfabe. We don't talk about Larry and kayfabe. We and by the way,
They did.
our hearts go out, like, real talk. Both Evan and I are pet owners, and I know that when I heard about Larry, I went and snuggled Mocha, my dog. I'm,
Yeah. That,
that's a terrible thing to go through. Um, but the, the point still remains that in kayfabe, the story was that CM Punk was injured. He wasn't there. He was out because he was nursing injuries from the War Games match. So he's not there to defend himself. So why is it okay for Braun Breaker to talk shit about him if he's not there? That's the standard that we're
it,
going with.
yeah, no, it was inconsistent. No, I had the same gripe, and
On
like,
top on top of that, how many times? And I'm this isn't my point. This is actually, I'm gonna make sure to. I'm not other people. I will give credit to bald people on that do YouTube videos.
ah,
Simon Miller Simon Miller brought up this point. Why is it that we can watch attempted murder and literal felonies on Monday Night Raw take place, but he talked crap about a guy who wasn't here. So,
That's too far.
like,
Like
didn't didn't Cody go out? Wasn't there a home invasion angle
Cody
on
literally broke into
SmackDown?
Drew's house. Cody literally broke into his house. They had police officers there. Like make it make sense. And no, I had the same gripe. And like I had a couple of gripes about Raw. I do want to highlight one of the bright spots. I love what they're doing with Maxine Dupree. This whole
So good,
the
so good.
montages, the training with Natty. You know, she seems to be she's everything they wanted Stacy Keebler to be back in the day, but she's learned how to wrestle. She's taken it with whole gusto. You know, I think they kind of happened to do a reverse of what they should have done before she beat Becky for the Intercontinental Championship. Because now I don't see a reason why you would take the belt off Maxine.
Oh,
Like,
I don't.
there's no reason not to.
I actually, um,
There's no reason
well,
to.
what I would like to see now is I want to see Maxine on a tear. I want to see her for several months with that. Um,
Get a
and
little
then I
cocky.
think we bring back Lyra Valkyria, and that's their story, and that's because the thing is we can start blending over and bleeding over these storylines that
I
we've had from the past, and like I mean, at some point you're gonna have to if you want to have um high emotional stakes. You need to interweave what you've already done.
so I'm kind of with you on that. Um, my choice wouldn't be Lyra Valkyrie. My choice is I would have Maxine go on the tear, have her get cocky, have her border on it going to her head too much, and then have Natty be the one to face her. Student versus teacher. Have Natty
See,
take the belt off of her so she hits rock bottom.
I that to me goes the wrong direction with it because you're still talking about a mid card talent. Like if if you want to do the the Natty matchup that I would be way more interested to see is after Maxine wins the women's championship, when she's the women's world championship, and now you have Natty sitting there jealous and let Natty turn on her.
I definitely think you could do that. I would be down to watch that too. I'm just not super high on Lyra Valkyrie, and I think that's just because of she's been a victim of terrible booking, and her character
I'm
progression.
I'm literally fixing the booking. I'm giving her a
Well,
solid
part of the
reason to
problems,
face a solid talent and let her come back
yeah.
as a heel. Let her turn heel on
Who
that.
are even the women's tag champs right now? Is it women's tag champs WWE?
It's the it's
Kabuki
Os
Warriors.
yeah, it's
Oh,
Asuka, and they had that whole spot where Io Sky dove on top of Rhea
yeah.
Ripley to that was the
Which
uh, dumbest.
Rhea's a
So dumb.
monster. That
So
was
dumb.
so fucking dumb.
And also, I just gotta pile on a little bit here. I'm sorry, WWE, but to quote Evan, do fucking better. If if Evan, okay, Evan, you and we've worked as a tag team before, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I wanna just let's say I'm on the ground, right?
Uh
Let's say
huh.
there's someone who's about to drop an elbow on me, and you decide that you're gonna dive on top of me to save me from the kind of finishing move that I take every week on this show. Um,
Why wouldn't I just get a weapon and or grab the rope to try to pull them
no, no,
down?
no, no, you decided to do this, so you take the blow for me. Okay, so you dove on top of me, you took the elbow. Shouldn't I be able to then immediately pop up and start defending you because I didn't take the elbow? Like, isn't that the whole fucking point?
I mean, yeah, but like also like my body weight and their body weight are now crashing down on you.
No,
So
no,
like,
no. Well, that's the beauty of an elbow. It's just at one point. If we were doing a body splash, then I'd agree with you.
Yeah, I guess you have a point there. I don't know. To me, the whole spot was fucking stupid,
It
and
was.
like
It was terrible.
it was honestly, it felt a little lazy. Like there's just no logic applied there, like at all. And like I
Well,
don't know.
like there are the spots where it's like where it does work. Like there was when uh when we were doing the whole blood when they were doing the whole bloodline angle,
There was
and
an emotional reason behind that too.
Sammy would shove, you know, somebody out of the way, and he would eat a super kick, or he would eat a spear, or he would eat, you know, whatever. So Roman didn't have to, so Jay didn't have to, so Jimmy didn't have to. That that made a lot more sense. Every one of those spots made more sense.
Well, there was an
Like
emotional reason for it.
there's I even even giving this the emotional idea of reasoning, it doesn't make uh visual sense. Is my point. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't? Okay, hypothetically now, y- you're you're right next to the ring, and I'm laying or that same situation I just put you in. I'm out. You are thinking about you want to protect me. Guy jumps off the top rope to hit the elbow on me. Rather than jump in and hurt yourself, why wouldn't you just pull me out of the way?
Yep, that's another thought that crossed my mind too. Um, yeah, honestly, I'm kind of convinced WWE just at this point doesn't know how to book tag teams, like at all.
That's see that
That's
though.
wild.
No, hold on. I gotta I hate saying this. I gotta defend the booking here a little bit because that's not a booking decision. Okay, that's a decision like when no, that's a decision that comes down to like when when they get when that stuff gets laid out, you're like told, okay, we're gonna do this spot. How do we want to pull this off? Okay,
I mean,
and you
I
can
guess it.
and you can and if you're in and like trust me, I've been there and gone, hey, I know this is how you have it written out, but with all due respect, this doesn't make sense and this is why. And like it is, it's a political game when you do it and you have to be because you don't want to disrespect anyone, but at the same time, you have to help others to see a different, a different view than they've necessarily seen going into it because when you go into it and you're writing it, you only have, it's almost tunnel vision.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I can see that. I just, to me, I just don't think that they know what they're doing when it comes to tag teams. It's just, I don't
I
think I
mean
can
that
be.
in general, in general with the booking, I agree with you. I'm just saying that, like how that is written out to that spot, I put I put the onus on, um, not on the overall booker, but whoever was,
Maybe the
um,
agent.
yeah, of that match. That's who
Oh,
I
that's
would put
fair.
that on.
CM Punk had a good promo. It
CM Punk had an excellent promo, probably the best
so
promo he's cut all year.
yeah. Well, it wasn't. Didn't sound like somebody wrote it for him completely. At least until that final GTS equals 1, 2, 3, and then the awkward stutter thing. Um, but like no, that was it was definitely a very good promo. Him insulting Rick and Scott was a choice, and I thought it was hilarious. Braun Breaker called him a crackhead a few weeks ago, and CM Punk tweaking out about him mentioning his wife. That's pretty, on brand there. Same situation. Somebody who did that, I would tweak the fuck out on him too. Excuse me, guys.
The lines you don't
um,
cross, and that man crossed it.
well, and I don't think he would have done that had they not talked to him. But
Well,
it's
I
one of those.
also think there's something to be said here if you compare the promos that Braun did and the promo that CM Punk did. You know, Braun comes out and he's like, "Oh, you're this old man. I want the old CM Punk. I'm gonna break you in half. I'm gonna put you in the hospital. I'm gonna do all this and that." And you're just like, you have to make all of these over the top threats to come across as intimidating,
Hmm.
and it makes you look less intimidating.
It's
You know,
kind of like cartoon villainy.
Bronson Reed's standing there, just wearing this
Well,
shirt that just reminds you, hey, I beat Roman Reigns.
by the way, how hilarious would it have been had Bronson, after Cena left his shoes in the ring, had Bronson snuck up in there and grabbed the midlife crisis threes?
I I I think that would have been so good. I I mean, like I would have waited a good minute
I
for
w-
it
maybe after the cameras were rolling, like as a like kind of like how they did the KO turning on Cody Rhodes thing, where it was like a post show thing. I think that would have been great, where
Yeah,
everybody's looking around and Bronson Reed sneaks in.
yeah. I think it would have been great to do like let Cena have his exit and everything, and then when everybody's kind of like they were doing that, like everybody's kind of like talking at the very end and kind of meandering out. That's that's totally when I wouldn't have done that, and I would have let it go all over Twitter. It,
Yeah, and then we had Logan Paul defeating Rey Mysterio. Um,
that's a choice.
we were right with our prediction of who the Masked Man was.
Yay!
Um, you know, I was
I
excited
love
about it
being
a while
right.
ago, but sorry, watching my son move on the baby monitor, so want to make sure he's not waking up. Yeah, so we were super high on this being the option a while ago, and like I kind of forget why we were, but like
Because it
they
made sense at the time.
bungled the execution in a way to where I just wasn't excited. I'm really hoping that it's like he's not the only one involved. Um, I think I just fail to see how Austin Theory joining the Vision adds anything to the Vision, other than maybe somebody who can eat some pins. But like Theory's been off TV for like months at this point. He never got his one back over on Grayson Waller.
That's what I was just gonna bring up is Grayson Waller is a part of the New Day, which is also on Raw. So it like when you have Austin Theory show back up on the
Should have
same
attacked him.
show, that's who he should be going after. 100%. 100%. They never had a finish to that feud, and that was actually something that we had started to invest ourselves in.
Hmm. I just
Um,
and the fans that were live, from what I've seen, they didn't react very kindly to it. Um, it just
I
felt
al-
anticlimactic to them, is
I
what I
also
was
think
hearing.
it's a big misstep on Austin Theory's part. Came back with that like shaved head look,
Looked He just
and
looked like Daniel Garcia.
and yeah, that's true. Um,
Copy paste.
when you come back, I mean, personally, I'm of the opinion when you come back, you should probably try and look as close to how you left as possible, so that people remember you. Um, because like I
Yeah.
honestly don't think he got. I think part of the reason that he didn't get the reaction that they were hoping for is I think there's a handful of people that were looking at him going, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
Well, and that's the thing. He interfered in war games, attacked Punk and Roman,
And
and
now
like, what the fuck? How is he connected to either of them at this point?
at this point, the only logical like conclusion is that like Austin Theory hired him, or sorry, Logan Paul hired Austin Theory.
That or Seth Rollins. It's like maybe he's a sleeper agent within the Vision for Seth Rollins because he was his original prodigy. But like, that's a lot of steps for people
That's
to
a
connect the dots on.
lot of steps.
Like, honestly, that's a
Um,
big reach to me. This whole thing is just a big reach to me. And
Well,
like,
what? Also, so this mask guy came out and and fucked over Cody and Punk and Roman and the Usos. Now, I'll grant you that Roman and Cody aren't there, but the other three are all in the
are.
building.
Why were they? Well, I think Punk came down and chased off with a chair, and then Breaker got in the ring and hit him with a spear.
Why is he coming out alone? Why wouldn't the Usos come out too? Like they all got beef with the masked man.
And I don't know.
And
To me, it's
it
just
just
it's
it.
misstep after misstep after misstep, and I've just kind of lost interest in this whole thing. They should have capitalized on it like the week after.
Oh yeah.
Like they should have had Roman, Cody, and Punk all there. Obviously, with Punk with Larry dying, obviously it's understandable why Punk wasn't there. But they should have had Roman and Cody there trying to hunt down, banging down Pierce and Aldis's door to figure out who's the masked man. Build some intrigue behind it. You know,
Well, and the
hell,
masked man should have kept going with people from that match. Doing this Rey
Rey
Mysterio
Mysterio,
shit is so
like
like detached.
on, it feels very disjointed, and I hope they can turn it back around. But I've got pretty limited hopes on it. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, we will be live this Friday in Grand Rapids at the SmackDown Raw Double Show, enjoying some good old wrestling. I know in the past we've discussed how we were upset with ticket prices and we weren't sure if we were going to go. These are pretty affordable tickets. If you're there, make sure to stop by and say hi. Maybe we'll record some videos for here on the podcast and on the TikTok page. Maybe we'll run into some superstars. You never know.
Never know what's
Uh,
gonna happen, but what I do know is going to happen is Evan and I are gonna have a good time because that's what always happens when we go to wrestling shows. I always have a good time at
sure.
shows with you.
That is true, and with it being SmackDown, I'm hoping Cody's there. I actually, I haven't seen him wrestle live since All In, because
Oh
he was.
wow,
I don't think he was at Blood and Guts when we went to AEW. I think that might have been after he left.
he wasn't at Blood and Guts. I've seen him since then because
Well, you went to
he was
SummerSlam.
yeah, I went to SummerSlam,
Yeah,
but
no, it's you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. How they capitalize on Gunther's heat. Um, I'll be honest. I'm kind of at the point where I think there does need to be a heel authority figure on TV again. Kind of, I don't mind there being one stand-up GM where he's the good guy. I don't need them both to be the good guy. There's no intrigue there.
um, I'm also really looking forward to the double show just because when you have when you're doing both shows in the same building on the same day, it means
A
you
lot.
have both rosters in the same place, and that can lead to a lot of exciting matchups that you don't normally get to see. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
hopeful that we're gonna see something cool. Um,
The build to the Rumble, they got to start doing something. They have this huge, they're having that big 1 year anniversary Netflix Punk versus Breaker. They got to build to that show too. Um, I'll be honest, I am kind of tired of having to go to multiple apps to like watch shit.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, time to be a pirate. But like, I'm excited. I'll tell you what else was exciting was AEW has been really exciting lately. I know you haven't really exactly been consistently watching it lately. Um, Winter is Coming was really great. The women's tag team tournament finale was great. The Babes of Wrath, Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron beating Timeless Love Bombs, Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa. It was a solid match. It's nothing to. It wasn't like the best match of all time. It was just full of great spots, full of entertainment. Um, you got Tony Storm and Harley Cameron in the same ring. I'm glued. Just because they're so entertaining. Uh, Kazuchika Okada defeating Jungle Boy. I'm not gonna call him Jungle Jack because that just makes me think of the dude from the LJN line. Um,
Uh,
yeah. It was a good match. Interesting spot where he had him up for like what looked like a tombstone, but like Jack Perry like bit his dick. He literally bite his dick and twist it. That's what he did to him. Um, that was, you know, I guess quite the mouthful. uh,
wow. Wow.
we had Hangman and Swerve beating Shibata and Hobbs. It was a great tornado tag match. Speedball Mike Bailey is like quietly becoming one of my favorites to watch in AEW. He had a great match with Kyle Fletcher at Winter's Coming. Collision, he had a great match with Kevin Knight. Like honestly, that match with Kevin Knight might be one of the best matches I've seen on TV in a really long time. I recommend anybody go and watch it. Samoa Joe, beat Eddie Kingston. Sorry, these random kick bots. And then it was he had a little homage with the STFU on on Eddie Kingston. You don't somebody I forget who it was. Somebody made a great point the other day. You don't necessarily watch Eddie Kingston matches for the wrestling. You watch for the promos, and he tells a beautiful story. One day when he finally wins the AEW World Championship, I definitely think it'll be special. Um, we're getting a triple threat at World's End with Samoa Joe, Hangman, and Swerve. Um, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then we've got, with Collision, we had a lot of really great matches with, Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. Claudio and Takeshita had a time limit draw, and we might be getting Death Riders versus Don Callis family, so that'll be a little weird.
That is
Um,
weird.
and then Mark Briscoe retaining the AEW championship. He beat Daniel Garcia. That was a great match. It was a really good like pacing wise. It had good technical wrestling, and it's really good to see AEW back on some solid footing with consistent booking. Um, and I think the momentum's heading back in their core, especially as WWE continues to, and TKO continue to make bad decisions. All right, our topics for the night. I guess our first one, Vince Russo. He has reappeared as the financier of Juggalo Championship Wrestling. He's just
Bro.
involved with booking, bro.
Bro.
Um, honestly, lately, normally I detest that man. Just all the damage he's done to wrestling. He's had some not so hot takes in my opinion. Um, honestly, the one I want to talk about is the fact that he's kind of got a valid point when he says, WWE that has made their weekly televisions kind of irrelevant. Like I can tune out for a month and just tune back in, and like nothing has literally changed. Like it's the
Yeah.
same fucking matches. And I think that's honestly why Netflix viewership has dropped so dramatically, not only in the US but worldwide. He had some mid to hot takes with Triple H being too involved in programs and too involved in things. He made comments about Cena, the Cena farewell with Triple H being out there, and you and I talked previously beforehand, and you kind of convinced me on it that it would be weird if Triple H wasn't out there, or yeah, if he wasn't out there. But the WrestleMania commercials, I don't think he needed to be necessarily in them. Um,
I understand what you're saying there, and I'm not gonna disagree with you totally. I think you know we've talked before about how wrestling personalities uh, are ego driven. It,
mm,
it it is what it is, um, and Triple H still has an ego.
mhm. Well,
I don't think that he needs to be out there necessarily as much as he is. At the same time, he is the new Vince McMahon, the new face of the company, and you do need to have a public face that So I think there are interesting points when I think it is really helpful to have it. Like there are those scenes when you see a wrestler like storming through the back and they you know, on the walk through the gorilla and on their way out to the ring, and you see Triple H sitting there
Yeah, and that's the
with a
Vince McMahon
headset
show.
on, and it's like that's I love that. I love that because it's this like honest, real working environment,
Hmm.
and that makes the entire product that much more real to me. At the same time, do I think that he needs to be the guy, you know, in the ring opening up Raw for Netflix? No. Do I think he needs to be on a WrestleMania poster when he doesn't have a match or stakes in a match? No. I think that's a little overdone. So
Yeah,
I think Russo has a point, but I think that it's kind of a ridiculous expectation to think that he wouldn't appear anywhere ever. So,
yeah. All right, and then I guess our final topic.
wait,
It's Christmas.
it, especially coming from the guy who made himself world champion in WCW.
Yeah,
Just
that's honestly that's the caveat here. Is like, Jeff Jarrett had some things he said this week, and I'm like, didn't you lay down and weren't you booking TNA into the ground? And you know, it's kind of a lot of the pot calling the kettle black. But like,
and yeah,
it's
that's my real aggravation with it is it's just like,
bro,
look, bro, if we're gonna talk about people putting themselves over as Booker when they're the guy in charge, nobody did it more
you're
than you.
you're literally in the dictionary for this, and that's the caveat to this whole thing. Um, our final topic of the night. We're going to talk about our top 5 Christmas movies. I also have some honorable mentions because it was really hard to make a list of this.
I love.
Um,
There's some great Christmas movies out there. I was excited when you were
there's
down
also
for
some
this.
really bad Christmas movies I've been subjected to lately. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
um,
a lot
so I'm going to
more of
start.
them.
I'm going to
But
start with my honorable mentions. First and foremost, Die Hard. It is a Christmas movie. Fuck you if you don't think so. I want you guys to know, I literally only put this on the list just for this reaction
do you know what this reaction is?
because you don't think it's a Christmas movie.
Don't be ridiculous.
It is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. It's absolutely a Christmas movie. You're only giving it an honorable mention though, and you deserve to be smacked. You know, Evan,
It's not.
Evan, Evan.
No, 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 no.
Oh
Once
yeah,
you hear,
you
once
can't. Oh, you're
you
not.
got to hear my others before you can do this. I
You're
think
not.
that's fair.
It's not in your top five.
It's not in my top 5 because there's with my top 5 there's a lot of emotional connection to these movies for me. So like it's
That's fair.
different. Um Miracle on 34th Street, another classic.
Uh, pause. Which Miracle
The
on
original.
34th?
I didn't watch. I actually don't think I've watched the more recent one.
Oh, okay.
Um, the Christmas Carol, the original ones. That's my mom's favorite Christmas movie growing up, so I definitely watched a lot of that. Um, and then
The old black and white.
yeah, the old black and white, and then the Muppet Christmas Carol. Those are just great honorable mentions to me. There's a, you'll see some interesting ones, but
All
I
right.
think let's start with your top 5 or honorable mentions if you have
Okay.
them.
I don't have honor. I didn't do an honorable mention list. I didn't do an
Okay,
honorable mention list for this, but I know my top five. And are we doing the? Are we doing the back and
back and
forth?
forth. Go ahead and start
Okay.
from 5.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna move this one a little bit on my list only because we already brought it up. Now, Die Hard is on my top five Christmas movies. I how dude, it's not Christmas. It
I
is
know
not
Hans Gruber.
Christmas until Hans Gruber falls off Nakatomi Plaza. Okay.
If we're being honest, it's my number 6.
So yeah. Also, shout out to the fact that um oh, I can't remember the actor's name right now. Carl Winslow.
Oh,
Uh
Reginald L. Johnson. He's
Reginald
hilarious.
L. Johnson. He plays a cop in Die Hard. He plays a cop in Family Matters. When he
And
and he was actually a cop in Ghostbusters.
hmm well, that's there's a whole movie conspiracy theory about all the events happening in Ghostbusters leading to him transferring to LA to escape, and then when he was in LA, he transferred to Chicago where he met his wife. And I'm like, that's
I
weird
like
because
that. I like that.
the the kids would be the kids would have been born at that point. But I like where they're starting.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that idea.
my number five, Home Alone 2.
Interesting.
Home Alone 1 is of the first two. 2 is my favorite. 1 it's obviously a classic. 2 is my favorite. It's just iconic to me. I can still remember the taste of watching it on Christmas, the week of Christmas, and tasting the Domino's pizza as we were watching it.
That is an excellent movie. Tim Curry, so good.
I
It
I love
like
Tim
that's
Curry.
one of my favorite Tim Curry movies. Um, Almost an underappreciated role in that one, I think. Um, I gotta say, I know you're staunch liberal, so I'm kind of surprised that a movie with Donald Trump would make your top five list.
Uh, Sometimes we have to, look at the context of the whole thing. Um, but yeah, Donald Trump is in the movie. Regardless
Just
of
a cameo,
politics,
just a cameo.
it's just a cameo. It's one of those movie. It's an iconic moment in the movie, but like it's forgettable also in the same context.
Hmm. No,
Um,
I'll be honest. At the time that like
he was a Democrat at
in
the
the
time.
'90s, yeah, in the '90s, to have that cameo was kind of cool.
Well, it was his hotel they filmed in, so like,
Yeah, um, that's true.
uh,
Um,
so you
Number
gave
four.
now yours. Yep.
Yep, number four for me. So you mentioned A Christmas Carol, and you
Hmm.
mentioned A Muppet's Christmas Carol, and both of those are excellent renditions, but neither of them happens to be my favorite. My favorite rendition of the Christmas Carol, and my number four on my Christmas movies list, is Scrooged, starring Bill Murray. Um, I've always been the kind of guy who likes, I like modern twists on old stories, and the way that they did, a modern version of A Christmas Carol with Bill Murray, very lewd, very crass, very over the top. I fucking love it. It's not what you would expect necessarily out of a Christmas movie, but it is totally a Christmas movie and has a great message. Um,
Yeah, I love that movie too. Um, it actually made me think of another movie that I used to watch with my dad, with Ernest Saves Christmas and stuff like that.
mm,
My number four is a Michigan-based Christmas movie from 1987.
oh, I know
Um,
what it is. I know what
it
it is.
is
I'll let you say it.
Prancer, starring Sam
Prancer.
Elliott. It's my wife's all-time favorite movie, Christmas movie. Uh, you know, I've loved it since before we met, but like it's just one of those ones where we've connected over it. And it's a really heartfelt, heartwarming story. Um, you've got Sam Elliott, you've got like several people that were like iconic 70s and 80s actors that are in that and that are now, no longer with us or in their 80s. Uh, Cloris Cleachman, she passed away a few years ago. Sam Elliott's like 83 or 82 or something like that. He's getting up there.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
He's a
yeah, it's
fantastic
just a
actor,
good movie.
and Sam Elliott's one of like he, he's one of those guys like a genuine cowboy to me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the Duke kind of thing. Like all right.
I think that's why I liked his King of the Hill. I think it was King of the Hill. Yeah, it was King of the Hill role where he was like not necessarily a cowboy. He was kind of like a city cowboy.
I always remember him in the Big Lebowski. Just like that that narrator cowboy character in the Big Lebowski. I always loved. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I've loved a lot of his stuff. He plays General Meade, if I recall correctly, in Gettysburg. It's one of my favorite historical, dramas. Um,
And I
I know.
personally, yeah.
I brought it up for that reason.
Um. All right. So, my number three. And I want to preface this by saying that the lead actor in this, I can't stand him personally. So I think it's a real testament to the movie that it makes the top five list at all. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation to me is an absolute gem. Um, is everything from watching Chevy Chase try and buy his wife a present while he's hitting on this uh, clerk in front of his son, like hilarious. Um, the setting up the Christmas lights, the trying to the wanting to get the Christmas bonus, the dealing with the in-laws. There were all these little aspects of that movie that are so easy to relate to,
Hmm.
and I my brother and we've joked for several years that it wasn't really Christmas in our house until we heard Dad swearing trying to untangle the Christmas lights. So
Shitter's full.
so that movie to me it exemplifies Christmas in a lot of ways. So that is my number three. I love that movie.
So interesting thing happened here. We have the same number three, the exact same reasons. Um, that is very interesting. Clark's crash out about the Christmas bonus is totally valid. I don't care what
Yes,
anybody says.
yes, 100%.
Like
Hallelujah, holy shit.
that would be me.
Where's the eggnog?
I'd be like, let's fucking go. Fuck you. But I'll move right into my number two.
Okay.
So I've mentioned similar, related property in my honorable mentions. My number two is the Muppet Family Christmas. This is this is just such a heartwarming story to me. It's one of my favorites from when I was a kid. Um, that journey home from Fozzie Bear and all the Muppets going there, having the Sesame Street characters and Fraggle Rock and Jim Henson all on the same show. It's just like that nostalgic feel good. It's from the late I think late or mid '80s. But like if you want to watch it, it's free on YouTube. You can find it. It's a like 45-minute long movie. It's just great. It's heartwarming and just reminds you of the season. And it features Elmo before Elmo was popular.
No, I can definitely get behind that. I mean, like the Big Bird's Big Adventure was one of my favorites growing up. Like I
Well,
always
the
loved
the
that.
the the whole running bit of like the them slipping on the ice, or like the Swedish chef crashing out because he doesn't have a turkey, and then he gets a turkey. First he gets a chicken, but that's not a turkey. Then he gets a turkey, and then the turkey points to Big Bird and says, "That's a bird."
Hmm.
So like it's full of like little nuances like that, and like it's obviously more geared towards kids because Muppets and whatnot, but like you know it's impossible to get the actual printed DVD or VHS version here in the states. You usually have to go and like buy it from like someone in the UK, because CBS UK actually is the one that owns the rights to it. Um, so it's very very iconic 80s Christmas property.
My number two. You mentioned the sequel, but for me, it's all I'm all about the original.
It's iconic.
As a redheaded kid, how could Kevin McAllister not be one of my heroes growing up? And I had every line of this movie memorized. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I am talking about the original Home Alone. It is a little bit hard. This is one that, as an adult, it can be a little bit hard to watch because there comes a point when you are watching um, the wet bandits, go through all these traps. Like getting a nail stuck in your foot and you're burning your hand on a doorknob and your hair's getting burned off with a blowtorch, and you just kind of wonder, okay, so what point is enough? Is enough enough? Like, how bad do you
You would
really
I would have
want to?
been dipping after slipping on the ice.
Like, why? Like, there's all these other houses that you can rob. Why are you so fixated on this one? So it's a little ridiculous in that aspect. But still, for all of the memories that has brought me over the years of great Christmases, Home Alone is my number two.
Mm. Well, without further ado, my number one. Merry Christmas, you old building and bones. It's a
Oh,
Wonderful
an
Life.
excellent choice. Actually, okay, you know what? I didn't say any honorable mentions. That would be on my honorable mentions list.
So for me, it wasn't Christmas in the house unless we watched Christmas Carol and It's a Wonderful Life. It's just I grew up, with a single mom. I Love Lucy's, the black and white shows, Dick Van Dyke, all that stuff, and like I just grew up on Three Stooges and stuff like that. And It's a Wonderful Life is that blend of there's nuanced old school 1940s post war humor. There's the commercialism, the way that it kind of calls out capitalism in a way. It kind of brings the real life things people experience kind of into that experience as well. Um, Obviously, it's the story of a man experiencing what life would be like if he wasn't around. It's Dickinsonian in a way of how it kind of yanks you out of life and makes you experience it while actually doing it. And I just so many iconic songs, so many iconic moments within that movie, and it's one of those ones that just makes you feel.
That's a great choice, man. Good call. Good call. Um, mm, so I've been thinking about some honorable mentions and stuff as we've been doing this, and I wanted you mentioned Miracle on 30 34th Street. Um, you specifically you said the black and white one, the original one. I
Mhm.
actually have a lot of love for the remake that was done in the 90s. First of all, you got Matilda as the little girl. I mean, I can't go wrong there. Um, but there, what I really love is that they have a different ending. Um, it is the court case does not end the same way in both movies, and there is
Mhm.
an additional part, an additional element to the remake version, and I'm gonna leave it at that in the hopes that maybe you will go and check that out this holiday
I've
season.
I have never watched it, so maybe I will.
Um, It's a Wonderful Life was an excellent choice. That one would also make my honorable mentions list. Um, my number one is ironically, I think the most modern movie in all the movies that we've brought up uh, through this top five for either of us. It's a movie that I went and saw in the theaters as an adult. And I remember when I went and saw it, I did not want to go see it. I pretty much got dragged to go see it by the girl I was dating. And it turned out to be one of my absolute favorite Christmas movie. And that movie is Love Actually.
Oh, I forgot. That is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. If you haven't seen it, it's one of those movies where it's a handful of different stories all being told that just slightly touch on each other, and they're all different love stories in different ways, and I think that's
Mhm.
very cool. In addition, um, w- an old the idea of an old man rebelling and doing a raunchy Christmas song to me, just again, that's that Brian Mercer sense of humor. So
No, that's
it's
fair.
it's perfect.
Uh, that's valid. That would be amongst my honorable mentions too. It's a good movie. I hadn't watched it until being an adult either. So yeah, I mean, there's so many wonderful Christmas movies out there, and if you haven't had a chance to check out any of the ones that we've mentioned, feel free to.
You
You
know what would
know,
be really cool is if you wanted to, you can feel free to write your own top five Christmas movies down in the comment section. We would love to
Hell yeah.
hear from you on what your favorite movies are, and who knows, maybe you'll inspire us to go check one out.
Yeah, I mean, the holidays are coming up. There's a lot going on. Um, yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys have to show us. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us. As always, make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG15 for 15% off all your gaming merchandise needs. Great sponsor, great products. It feels great to be back in the saddle doing the podcast. I know the D&D campaign's next week.
Hmm.
Hopefully, you're feeling better the next time at the campaign and at the next show. Yeah. Oh, and then we do have GOAT results at some point that I need to go back and tally. I almost forgot we were doing a greatest of all time tournament. So hopefully by the next show I'll have results for us.
But we won't be back doing the podcast before Christmas Day. So for all of you celebrating Christmas, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. And if that's not your cup of tea, if if we want to wish you a happy holiday no matter what it is. So make
Yep.
sure that you give a hug to the people that you love and enjoy your holiday this season.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.